Let's see what's going on. All right. All right. What's happening here? Go to the 5-minute chart. 3 minutes till that 5-minute range plays out. Squeezing really. Oh my gosh. We are squeezing. We are squeezing. Alright, we're waiting for that 5-minute range. Alright. Alright, we got, what? 1 more minute left. One more minute till a 5-minute range plays out. Let's see. We have any news today? News. No news. No news today. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's much news today. Yeah. So no news you need to be worried about. So that's good. All right, 5-minute range just closed. So let me mark out the levels here. 5-minute range high. And then we got that 5-minute range low. There's that 5-minute range. Let me drop down to the 1 minute. All right, there's the 1 minute. Let's see what happens here. Da, 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 da. Oh, actually, look what's going on the 15-minute. We're still pushing. Wow. 15-minute, 30-minute. Trying to look at different time frames. Yeah, we're still pretty. We do have a gap. Pretty big gap to the downside. Yeah, pretty massive gap to the downside from what, 8/12? So what, Friday? So we'll see what we get. Maybe if we can come down and kind of tap view up and show that we want to move back up. But right now, right, it's rejecting off the 5-minute range, the top of that 5-minute range, still rejecting off of it, failing to break above it. Uh-oh. Is it going to break above? Is it going to break above? Whoa. That's a huge wick. What the heck? That's crazy. Wait, let me check something real quick. Are we at all-time highs? We are. Holy. Wow. We're at all-time highs. Shoot. Yeah, we're at all-time highs. That's crazy. Oh my gosh. I don't like that. Bummer. What a bummer. See what happens here. We do have a gap to the downside. I mean, rule number 1, short all-time highs. Yeah, rule number 1. It's day trading 101. Make sure to short all-time highs. Gosh, I hope this is not one of those days where it just keeps ripping up. Might just not trade. Yeah, it's if I get a setup, I'll take it, but it may be one of those days where we just rip. But yeah, it's not a. We do have a gap right from Friday, from when market closed, market opened on Sunday. There's a pretty big gap to the downside, so price may want to fill that gap. Seeing what happens here. I mean, so far we're holding the top of that 5-minute range, kind of using it as support now. First we were using it as resistance, now we broke above it. Now it's kind of using it as support. Five-minute gap. Yeah, there's a 5-minute gap. Bunch of gaps to the downside, obviously getting created. Huh. Look on the, what was that? I have to look on the. It's the hourly chart. And a pretty big uptrend on like the hourly chart. And we are ripping. Nice, NASDAQ. Nice. That the thing about it is, what do you go off of? Like, we're at all-time highs. Like, how do you don't know where it could reverse. We got no news today too, so see what happens. We got VWAP down at what? That's like the 24,400 mark. I am on the next contracts, FYI, if anybody make sure to switch contracts. I'm on the 12/25 expiration December expiration contracts. So, Ken, the question is, will it hold? Will it have strength to keep going up? Or will this be kind of a starting to get a little bit weaker, like it's having trouble getting up there? But we'll see. If there's a setup, I'll take it. If the risk to reward is good, I'll take it. But it's got to really give me a setup. Uh-oh. Starting to push back into that range. Uh-oh. 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 Quit. Will it push back into that range and form a gap? If that happens, now I may take a lot smaller position. Like if there is an entry, right? If there is a trade, even though we're at all-time highs, if there's a setup, I may take it. I'll just take it on very light size. Just because we're at all-time highs. Lighter size. Not very light, but lighter. What's the benefit of the range of the 5-minute opening? Well, the idea is, right, the 5-minute range, there's so much volume traded inside this range that anytime price kind of pushes back inside this range, right, we usually get pretty decent momentum because there was so much volume traded in this range. So that's kind of the idea. So for my idea, when it pushes back into that range, it could start maybe wanting to go to the opposite side of that range. See how it's propelling? As soon as it entered that range, see how price action now is like really starting to get more volatile. But it's if we get a setup. We're pretty far away from that view op. We got some gaps to the downside. We'll see if a setup. So far, there's no setup, right? Even though we're in the range, pretty much what I'm looking for is a bearish gap to show me that it may want to go for that opposite side of that range or the next liquidity point, which is down here, pretty much at view op. So see, so far, although they pushed it back into the range, they're just pushing it right back up and failing to form a gap. Oh man. All right, 5-minute. Let me see. Let me look at the 2-minute chart. Yeah, so there's a gap on the 2-minute right there. There's a 3-minute. Obviously, there's a gap on the 3 minutes. 5-minute. Big gap on the 5-minute. So there's pretty, you know, and as soon as this candle closes, there's going to be a gap on the 15-minute if this thing can close pretty bullish. If it doesn't fill this imbalance. And this candle, what? Oh, this candle just opened. never mind. This candle just opened, so we'll see. Yeah, there's a gap on the 1 minute down here. There is a tiny gap right there, but it's insignificant. That tiny of a gap, obviously I'm not going to take a tiny gap like that. That doesn't mean really much. That's way too tiny of a gap. I gotta have something like, at least, you know, I want something like this, or like this kind of a gap. Or at least something. Now we're outside of that range. What's gonna happen? It's having trouble getting, it's right, it's having trouble going up, but I think this may want to start, like, the gap to the downside from Friday's close to Sunday's open. There's a pretty decent size gap, right? So when you have price Friday's close, right, and then Sunday's open is way up here, it leaves this massive gap, and price tends to want to come back down and fill that gap from Friday's close and Sunday's open. What's your technique? Pretty much 5 minute range, closes outside the 5 minute range, and then when it pushes back into the range, leaving in this case, a bearish gap to potentially go to the next liquidity point, which failed to do so. It closed back into the range, but it's still pushing back up. It's not really, you know. And the idea is, if it pushes back into the range pretty heavily, leaving behind a bearish gap, then kind of shows me that it could possibly want to go to the opposite side of that range, or the next liquidity point, which would probably be like down here, which is the opposite side of the range. Or this imbalance right here, right? Or it could want to, safest spot probably for TP would be the imbalance, because we have a little bit of a liquidity down here, and then we have that unfilled imbalance. So trying to fall. Yeah, I mean, it was having trouble getting up there. Now it's starting to pick back up. But the question is it, you know, is it gonna keep going, or it's just like one of those moves where it makes a high, has a little bit of retrace, takes out that high, and then starts dropping? I don't know. I personally hope it doesn't keep pushing up. I hope today's not one of those days where it just... what are you viewing or waiting on the map for you to take a trade right now? I was waiting for price to push back into this range, leaving behind a bearish gap, but, you know, obviously it failed to do so. There's a very tiny gap, but that's so insignificant that doesn't really count. I'm looking for an actual gap, like, you know. Typically, very tiny gaps, they'll just get run through, like, you know. Wow, we're pushing. We are pushing. That sucks. Do you only use price action? Yeah, price action, I would say, yeah, like 90% of the trade is just, yeah, if not 100 actually. I mean, I have indicators on my chart, but those indicators aren't used to trade, right? They're just gauges of if I'm already in a trade and, you know, I have a pivot point right there. I'm kind of mindful of that. And sometimes I adjust my TP based on where the indicators are, the ones where I know price could bounce off of. But the strategy in and of itself is strictly just price action. Yeah. And the problem is with like all-time highs like this is you don't know where, like most of the time when we're not at all-time highs, right? You have like liquidity points that you think it could take out and then start, you know, dumping. Here it's like it's got no, you know, it's got no previous history because it's at all-time highs. So you really have no idea where this thing can reverse. Absolutely not. Like, yeah, well, this thing is... bummer. This thing is just... Now, at this point, right now, what my hope is, what I would really want, potentially, is for this thing to drop right down to the view op, and then maybe me have a potential entry off the view op. Like, right, I don't want to be getting long up here. Like, this thing could, this is all-time highs, longing at all-time highs, this thing can reverse at any moment. You have no idea. You have no past chart, you know, you have no highs up there. You have no idea where this thing can potentially reverse. So, longing up here, you're just hoping it keeps going up. Yeah, 10 a.m. macro. Well, it's like, it's already at... Typically when it has a pullback, right? When we have a pullback, like 9:45 or whatever, we have like a pretty decent pullback. Then I'm looking for that 10 a.m. like, oh, 10 a.m. reversal. I know, like, that 10 a.m. we could start reversing, but we haven't even had really any pullbacks. We've just kept ripping. So we'll see. I mean, me personally, right? I want price to come back down, and I would personally want to buy down here. Right, you want price to come to you. You don't want to chase price. You're just gonna... No clue what we're doing. What we're going, shorting here, risking long. Yeah, this is why I hate all-time highs. Because shorting is risky. Longing's also risky because you're, you know, you're at all-time highs. You're literally buying something that's at its top price. You know? So, the only smart thing to do is really wait for that pullback to actually happen so that you can actually maybe get a trade set up maybe down here at view op or some sort of a trade setup. But so far, I mean, I don't know who's trading this, why somebody would be trading this right here. You're just gambling. I mean, you're just gambling. You're guessing that this thing, unless you're scalping like 10 points, you know. Unless you have like a strategy where you scalp 10 points, maybe that's different. You got to be quick in and out. NQ December. No, I'm on December already. I just switched today to December. What time do you use your entry for analysis? So I mark out the 5-minute range. Obviously on the 5-minute chart, I just have the 5-minute chart pulled up. Once that 5-minute candle closes, mark out the high and the low. And then I drop down to a 1-minute chart, and then I watch price action, wait for it to break outside, close back in, leave a gap, entry, next liquidity. Kind of like what you saw on Friday, what happened, right? That's like what I look for. Come back to the 5-minute gap, then rip higher. Let me actually mark out that. Where's that 5-minute gap on let's see. There's that 5-minute gap. We got the 200. We got VWAP right above it. So this is a pretty good area for a bounce right here, right? We got the 200. We got this bottom of that 5-minute range. And we got this gap here. So very likely if price does come back down, it could have a reversal somewhere around here. Some sort of a reversal. Could mark middle points between the last movement. Wait over there. The problem is this thing can just, like it's doing, man, it's just ripping. Ripping. Now we have a pivot point up here, right? So that's, at least we have something. That's why I like these pivot points. I mean, I don't know how that pivot point was calculated, but this could be a, you know, an area of rejection for this. It could reject off that pivot point. You gotta think they're like trap buyers. Trap buyers up top. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, somebody's gonna get trapped for sure. You know somebody's longing, and as soon as somebody longs, it's gonna pull back. Somebody's gonna get trapped. The question is who? That's why I stay out of it. It's the people with FOMO. Do you use a... No, not for trading. You just said that pivot, but don't know how it was taken. Yeah, this blue line, it's an indicator. I said, I don't know how it's calculated, but it's somehow calculated, these pivot points. I don't know the math behind it or the... But they work pretty well. So that's why I said it could reject off that pivot, or we could just rip through it. I don't know. But typically those pivots, a lot of times, do hold pretty significant weight for price to either reject or bounce off of, or... Lock them up. Could use the fib. Yeah, I never really used the fib. I don't know. I never really... And you can see, look at that. It's trying to reject right off that pivot. Might not get a setup today? Yeah, might not. Which is fine, right? It's part of Mondays. Mondays are weird days. It's like when no news Mondays, I don't know. Typically, it's very hard to get a trade in when there's like no news. Or Let me look at the calendar. We have, what do we have? Tuesday. We have 8:30 news at Tuesday. 10 a.m. news. Wednesday, we have Wednesday 8:30 news. FOMC is on Wednesday. FOMC rate decision is on Wednesday, so that Wednesday is going to be a crazy day. Thursday we have a little bit of very light news. Yeah, and then Friday no news. Yeah, no news today. No news. Bummer. Why did you get into trading? Because I think it's fun. I enjoy trading, and you know, you have to be patient. Like the skill of it, the potential of it also. Like if you actually get good at trading and you know what you're doing, the potential of is pretty, you know, is pretty crazy. But that takes a while to develop that skill. Look at that pivot point. What'd I tell you? Those pivot points are something, man. They, like I said, I don't know how those are calculated, but look how well it pretty much rejected right off that pivot. Now, I don't use them as like, I would not use them as, oh, it's at the pivot, let me short. That's dumb, because then you're gonna get stopped out, because it doesn't always perfectly reject the pivot like that. Sometimes it'll push through, like, right, like here. But even here, look what happened here, right? We pushed through the pivot, we came back down, we tapped it as support, and then we ripped higher. But sometimes it just rips through the pivot. I mean, yeah, like I said, I wouldn't use them as trade entries, because you're just gonna get chopped up, and sometimes it chops around the pivot point. And what's the name of the indicator? It's just called pivot, like PIVOT, I think. Some platforms it's called pivot points. Some platforms it's called pivot. Here on Ninja Trader, it's just called pivots. PIVOTS. Appreciate the follow, thank you. Do we have any more? Oh wow, we have another gap. Wow, another gap on the 5-minute up here. There's a lot of bullish gaps that just formed. See, look at this. This doesn't happen like this always, so please be careful. Like, look at this pivot right here. See this gold one? Watch. Look what happened. Price just came down to that pivot and bounced right off that pivot. Now look at that. That's crazy. That's wild. It almost tempts you to take trades off of it, but trust me, I've tried it. You're just gonna get chopped up. This doesn't happen like, you know. How can we find pivots? Go to your, it depends what you're using, what platform you're using. Go to the indicators tab and just search up Search up pivots or pivot points or one of those. Gosh. This is the bummer of these kind of days. I can't. It's like price is pretty predictable because it just keeps going up, but I don't know. I can't do it. At 10 o'clock. Yeah, same here. Mondays are like one of the worst days for me to trade. I think it's just it's paired with there's not much news on Monday, so when there's not much news on Monday, price doesn't really, you know. I don't remember the last time. I think last Monday was the same thing. What the? Crap. What just happened? Something just happened to my screen. Oh my gosh. What is going on? What the heck? That was weird. Y'all didn't see that. My screen just went black for a second. Oh crap. I hope my computer is not. Yeah, I got you. I didn't even take a trade last Monday too. Last Monday was a day where I just like I didn't really get an entry either. Bro, what is going on with my computer? I hope my computer is not. Let's see. If it fails to make a new high, we could start, Bro, what the flip is going on? Whatever. Sorry if I'm missing questions. Yeah, Monday's FOMC. It's Monday. Wednesday's FOMC. This is NASDAQ futures. Computer is bogus, just like not showing the name of the stock. It's NASDAQ. It actually it says it right when you. It should say it right when you log on to the stream. There should be a notification that says NASDAQ. But yeah. I maybe should put it in the... I just don't want to have too much stuff on my screen. Alright, we may start getting a rejection here. Right, price came up, failed to make a new high. That's a pretty big warning sign if, you know, price tries to come up, fails to make a new high, and starts dropping below this low. That could be a sign that we're starting to reject. Yeah, I think that's the sentiment. I think rate cut is the sentiment, but I don't know. Got to be careful with if they don't cut rates. Oh man, I don't know how that's gonna have on the market. If the market expects a rate cut and they don't cut rates, that's gonna have a really pretty negative effect. But I think that is the sentiment, that they're expecting to cut rates. I wonder if, let me see if it actually shows me on the on FinViz. Usually they have, all right, here it is. Expected 4 to 4.25%. I don't know what that means. Are they, is the market expecting a rate cut on Wednesday? Yes. The market expects the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates by a 1/4 percentage point at their meeting this Wednesday, September 17th. So 0.25% rate cut should be coming on Wednesday. All right, we're starting to show signs of a reversal. Yeah, they're expecting a 1/4 percentage point, so 0.25% rate cut, which is not much. It's not much, but it's something. It's a beginning of something, but I guess that short off that freaking pivot point was, watch the short off the pivot was like the best trade of the day. I said that before too. I was like, that pivot's coming up. That it could be a rejection off that pivot. Yeah, that's true. That it is a lot on the 30-year house loan. Yeah. No, don't go up now. Pull back at most. Amazon just double topped. Yeah, I want to pull back. I really wanted to pull back and give me something, but you think so? I just don't know how long I'm gonna have to wait, man. Hopefully. Here, give me a second. This could be retracing just to, hopefully this holds as resistance, right? Previous support, new resistance to continue. So you can kind of see, right, how structure is starting to change. We made a high. We pulled back. We failed to make a new high. We dropped below this low. Now, if this low holds resistance, this could be a kind of like a structure change. You can kind of see how structure is starting to kind of change, but it has to hold this as resistance. If it can't hold this as resistance, then it's gonna go for that high again. $616.25 short entry on ES. Is that at the... I don't know. Shorting is dangerous here. Be careful. I mean, I see a setup like it's starting to change structure, but make sure just to manage your risk and take a loss if it ends up shooting back up. But so far, it looks pretty good for a short. Not gonna lie. But dangerous at the same time. I would rather wait for a pullback for potential long if it could give it to me. I'm not a trader, I'm just a risk manager. Yeah, that's a better way to put it. It's literally what it is. It didn't take the liquidity. What there's no liquidity. There's no liquidity. We're at all-time highs. That's the problem with all-time highs. You don't know where it could reverse. But, right, it's starting to change structure. Now, like I said, right, it has to hold as resistance. And you can see what's going on. It's holding resistance. Previous high. Talking about like on a 1 minute chart. Well, the fact that this failed to sweep the high is a red flag. Like, you see how structure, it kind of had these pullbacks, it would take it out. Now that it failed to sweep that high, now we're starting to change structure to the downside. But we got some gaps, right? We got some bullish gaps to the upside. So there's a possibility we could, you know, fill these imbalances here. I think there was an imbalance on like a 2 minute chart. Where was it? No, is it 2 or 5 minute? There's a bit imbalance on the 2 minute chart, but 5 minute, I think it was the... Yeah, 5 minute chart. So see, there's an imbalance right there. So you got to be careful here too that price could bounce off of this imbalance. If not, if it inverses this imbalance, it's probably going to go lower back inside this 5 minute range. So if I mark it out, I guess I'll mark it out. So this imbalance, if it inverses this imbalance, it starts to look ugly to go back. You know, it's going to go lower most likely. So far, it's holding it. NQ follows ES and ES has already pulled back. Yeah, well, it doesn't necessarily follow it. They're correlated. Like they both sometimes NQ is ahead of ES, sometimes ES is ahead of NQ. NQ sometimes takes out a high, ES fails. People call that a divergence. Why isn't it reacting off long-term highs? It is. This is the long-term highs. There's no higher high than this. ES says, yeah, they both have high volume, but yeah, it is good to look at if ES is dropping, that's a pretty big sign. Yeah, it's on a downtrend now. And you saw how I saw up here that it was starting to change structure. The fact that that was the first red flag, right? Hold on. That was the first red flag to me that it failed to take out the high again. This is the 1 minute chart, but these gaps are on the 5 minute chart. My levels are on the 5 minute chart. So, but price action on the 1 minute chart. It like rejected off that pivot point to a T, like so perfectly. Oh man, that's crazy. See how slow it's moving. I want some crazier moves. I want Trump to say something. Let's drop this thing. Oh, there's a gap on the 15 minute there too. There's a 15 minute gap there too. So yeah, once these gaps get inverted, it starts to look pretty good to continue going down. But look at this thing. What is this? This is like pre-market price action. This is unreal. What a bummer. How low do you think it's gonna go? Oh, it can go down low. I think, I personally think down here, right here, where we're back inside, we would be back inside that 5 minute range. We have a gap right there. We have the view op right there. So right in this area where this box is, there's gonna be a decent amount of support. Now that's not to say this thing can't just flush through this area, right? But in my eyes, for like the highest probability bounce area would be somewhere around this area right here. I mean, what I personally would want to see for me to take a trade is this thing pull all the way back down, for it to kind of close back down here, right? Close outside this range down here, and then heavily push back into the range, leaving behind a bullish gap, and then me take a trade off that bullish gap for the continuation up. That's what I'll be looking for. But we'll see if we get it. But yeah, that's I think that's the best probability bounce is over here. Now you don't know if it's gonna bounce like up here, down here. Trading NASDAQ. Futures. Now obviously the top of that 5 minute range is also going to be a pretty decent level. Bro, the way this is moving, it's going to take freaking all day to get down here. Look how slow it's moving down. It's like watching paint dry. Don't trade today or this week. It will be super flat. I mean, yeah, we may get a little bit of sideways action, but I'm gonna wait. If I get a setup, I'm taking it. Like, that's the... I don't have my setup, so I can't take anything, regardless of how it moves. Like, I don't mind sideways action as long as there's like a decent range for the sideways action. You know, then it's fine. I don't mind it. If it gives me trades, I take them. But yeah, you have to be careful for any like long, like if you're trying to long and you're trying to hold for like for a higher target, you got to be careful because yeah, this week until Wednesday it could be choppy. I think tomorrow's going to be a little bit better. Tomorrow should be better, and then Wednesday in the morning it may be a little kind of sideways. We'll see though. Wow, bouncing off the first gap. So it failed to inverse that first gap, right? You see on the 5-minute chart. Got a perfect bounce off that imbalance. Oh my gosh. Yeah, today's not the day. But yeah, you got to be patient. There's no reason, listen, there's no reason to try to, you know, you got all week. You want to have you want to have a green week. You want to be patient. You don't want to start off your week by being crazy in the red, and then what you're doing is just for the rest of the week you're just trying to make back that loss that you took on the beginning of the week. It's not a good place to be in. Oh man, I'm tired. What the heck? I need to go to bed earlier. I need to stop going to bed so late. Man. We may be pushing for those highs again. And see, like, when we break out of this 5-minute range, right, we're holding it. So we typically hold it and we continue going up. Man, that sucks. I don't think we're gonna get another trade in. Unless this thing like fails to make a new high and just drops crazy and really starts dropping, then maybe. Let's see what happens. Wow. Thank you for listening to me, NASDAQ. Is there news? Oh my gosh. Is there news? I literally called it too. I was like, unless this thing starts dropping crazy, and it just went. I think they're listening. What is going on? What the heck? What was that? There's no news. Here, give me a second. I'll be back in a second. Wow, it absolutely went nowhere. I almost got stopped out and hit TP from that. Yeah, I don't know what that was. That's crazy. It's like out of nowhere. There was no news or nothing. We haven't swept a high. This thing is just stuck. Drop. Nope. Nope. Man, this is sideways. It's just 10:30 reversal. Gotta be careful here. We could reverse at 10:30. We sometimes do get a reversal at 10:30, so this could be it. Will this be the reversal? Appreciate the like. Thank you. Let's see. Drop. I hope this thing just doesn't go sideways for the rest of the morning. Let's look at different time frames. I mean, we had that 5-minute bounce. 5-minute bounce. We have another 5-minute imbalance, but it's way down in the middle of this 5-minute range. Question is, can we get down there? Gotta break this low. Left behind a bearish imbalance here. Only lost 35 bucks. It's pretty much break even, no? Yeah, we could start seeing a reversal here, but yeah, having a break-even day is not a bad thing on a day like today. Sometimes the market just does not give you what you want to see. We gotta invert that. We gotta invert this gap. Once we invert this gap, it's gonna start looking good for lower. As of now, we're still holding up. You really don't know. You can hope, but you don't know. Can we go down low? All the way to the floor? Alright. Hurry up, NASDAQ. I got no patience for you today. It's like as soon as it gives you hope that it's going lower, it just pops right back up. You're like, Man. Nada. I don't know. This ain't it today. Y'all, this ain't it. We're stuck. May just have to call it early. If this thing breaks above the high, I'm calling it. I think I'm calling it early. It's like there's no trade for me. I just have to end up just walk away and come back another day. Come back tomorrow maybe. But it's just stuck sideways. We've been literally going sideways for the past what? Since 9:52, like almost 10 o'clock. Like 40 minutes. 50 minutes of just straight sideways action. That's what you get for No News Mondays. Welcome to No News Mondays. It's hard to, I mean, it's almost forming like a bull flag. If this thing starts ripping above these highs, it's a time to call it, I think. We're, right, because I was looking for, I wanted price to come down here for an entry. Come down here. We're at view up. We got the 5-minute opening range. We got so much support down here. So it's not doing it. Looks like it just wants to keep pushing up. 15-minute opening range candle. Is it bouncing off the 15-minute? Let's see. Yeah, it is. Yeah, a lot of people use that 15-minute orb. It's a pretty good strategy. But yeah, I did it earlier. I see it did it earlier. The cool thing is it actually aligned. You have that 15-minute. Let me mark it out. I know some people who trade this strategy. It is a good strategy if you're patient for it. But you can see what happened, right? We got that this line right here is the top of the 15-minute range. So when we broke out of it, we came back down, and it was paired not only with this 15-minute range high, but there was also a bullish gap here too. So what it did was tap into this imbalance tap that 15-minute opening range, and then now we're starting to go back up. But it is a good strategy. A lot of people use that strategy. It's worth looking into. I don't trade it, but so yeah, I wanted for these lower ones. It would give me a better risk to reward, right? That's what I'm kind of looking for also. I want price to come down, and if price comes down here, it gives me just a better risk to reward. I have so much potential to the upside versus a little bit of room to the downside. If you really catch this like reversal area right here. But it's ripping. Like I said, if it breaks that high, I mean, I think I'm out. Today's a day where this just keeps grinding up slowly and slowly and slowly. I personally prefer to really like. I would prefer personally choppy, volatile, sideways action, but volatility. I'm talking about you have those days where it just like, you know, we get big moves up, then we get a big drop down, then we get a big move up, like those kind of days. I prefer those kind of days over to like something like this. We're just like slowly grinding up, but barely pulling back. I just can't get a trade in. Bro, this is moving mind-numbingly slow. Bro, this thing has been stuck at the same price for... It's like watching paint dry. This is moving like ES. I don't know if it's just the... Not everyone has moved to these contracts. Maybe some people are still trading the last contracts. I don't know. They expire soon, so hopefully... Do you trade MNQ? I trade MNQ. I trade MNQ because the sizing. I'm able to size way better. Right? My risk management is way better on MNQ. I don't think you should be trading NQ unless you have like a crazy big account. Like, you know, it doesn't make sense for the sizing. I'm risking, you know, if I want to risk $400 per trade, well then NQ, I can only risk 20 points. So if I'm only risking 20 points, what if I have a setup and I have to risk, you know, 40 points? So does that mean I just can't take the trade, or I have to risk, you know, twice as much as I want to just because I'm trading NQ? Versus, you know, MNQ, now I can size. If I only want to risk 400 bucks, I calculate the risk I want and just figure out the amount of contracts I need for that specific position size. But yeah, I don't know if I'll ever go to NQ unless my account just makes sense for me to, you know, unless I'm starting to risk like thousands of dollars per trade, then maybe it makes sense to switch to NQ, but yeah, nothing wrong with trading micros. People think that like you need to trade minis and like but they get a bigger dopamine hit because it moves so much more. They trade one mini, they get 10 points and they make 200 bucks and they think they figured trading out. But they're gonna end up taking a you know, especially for beginners that don't know how to like manage risk correctly. NQ can destroy you so fast. Like I know somebody who trades NQ, but he scalps. He scalps 10 points on NQ. So that's like, unless you're doing that. But I always think you should have your stop. You should always have your stop based on price, like the structure of price. Not because, you know, I don't want to have my stop at this area because I only want to risk X amount of dollars. I want to have my stop at this area because that's a low and that makes sense to have my stop there. Gosh, we literally Chipotle stock. I have no idea about individual stocks. I just trade NQ every day. Nasdaq is the. I don't like to try to search around for the hottest moving stock. NQ moves pretty well. Some days like today it just goes sideways, but you know, typically NQ moves pretty well. So I just don't see a reason to trade something that. To always look for. I used to do that, but and when you trade the same thing over time, years and years of trading the same thing, you kind of understand how it moves, and you begin to see stuff that you begin to see something happen before it even happens. And that's, you know, it's the goal of trading, be able to predict price before it happens. But yeah, oh, this thing is. I think I'm gonna be hopping off. I mean, 10 minutes left till 11 o'clock. 10 minutes till 11, and 11 o'clock is probably gonna get even slower. Some of these levels, like some of these lines, I gotta take this. This was a 15-minute range, but this is opening 5-minute range. So this is on a 5-minute chart I marked out. This gap right here is on also a 5-minute gap. So, but this price action right now is on a 1-minute chart. So I mark out my levels on a higher time frame, and then I move to a 1-minute time frame for entries. So that's how I do it. Yeah, looks like we're just gonna go sideways. I don't know. It's or as soon as I log off, this thing is gonna flush and give me an entry. No, for me to have an entry, I would still have to. Price would still have to come down all the way down here, and you know, close below this, push back up, bullish gap. So. We're just trading in the range. We push to the bottom of this range, and we immediately pop back up. So, yeah, that's a part of No News Mondays. Welcome. It's fine. Not taking a trade is still good, right? Because if tomorrow I come and I get a good trade, if I would have took a dumb trade today and lost money, tomorrow if I get a good trade, all I'm doing is making back money from the stupid trade I took. So. If I can be patient, I didn't get a setup today, right? And I just I'm flat for the day. And then tomorrow when I get a good trade, or if I get a good trade, boom, you're in profit for the week. So. Show it right now. I can't show it. That's a 1-minute. What do you mean show it? Show what? And we're starting to rip up. Nice. Ah. Bummer. It's all right. But yeah, all right. It's pretty much 11 o'clock. I'm gonna be hopping off. It's gonna get probably even slower, so I'll just come back tomorrow. Hopefully we get a good setup tomorrow. And oh yeah, hopefully we get some good price action. But y'all have a wonderful day and peace out.